All right, I think we are live. So, welcome everyone to a live weekly update. I've been curious to try one of these for a while because some of you actually suggested this in a live stream on the usual Sunday live streams here. But due to circumstances outside of my control this week, it's been a crazy week. Yesterday, I won't get into, but it was not ideal and completely shot my entire workday to smithereens. And so today, I was doing something top secret you will soon find out about. I can't say anything more about that, but I've been on the road since 5:30 this morning. Just got home in time for dinner. Had dinner. Put the toddler to bed here, and now I'm here for the last year. So it's been a whirlwind the past few days. I apologize. This is going to be amateur hour to the max. This is not going to be polished, but I wanted to do a live stream here for you guys and do something that's still fills the place of a weekly update because I know that so many of you love these, and I love covering the news every week. And there's some really cool news this week that I didn't want to miss as well, so I wanted to cover this. But I apologize. I'm not an advanced live streamer, so there's not going to be any screen sharing. There's not going to be any. I think I can share my screen. Maybe I will try that here briefly. But as far as live streams too, this isn't going to be like the usual live stream. I am seeing the comments coming in, but this isn't a Q&A, so I will maybe interact a little bit here. I will give I will definitely acknowledge any super chats or anything if anyone wants to do that. And I will try to just kind of work in a few comments here to make it a little more interactive. But I want to make sure this isn't a 2-hour thing. If it's going to be a weekly update that people are going to watch after the fact, because this will be available afterwards after this stream here. I want to make sure it's something that people don't see a 2-hour weekly update and just decide not to bother. So going to try and keep this a little shorter. I'm still doing the usual Sunday night live stream at 9 p.m. So join then for Q&A, and we can, kind of chat a little bit more than like we always do. But going to just try to get through the weekly update here in a, again, a rough way. And hopefully you guys enjoy these, and I'll be keeping an eye out if you do the little reactions and things like that. I'll be able to, kind of get some instant feedback there from you guys as well. But I'm actually not going to be seeing as many of the comments as I have to pull up my screen here. But so I'm just going to be basically paraphrasing news articles that were written because I didn't have time to type up my own thoughts on all this stuff. So I have the news stories preloaded here. We're going to go through them, and hopefully it'll still be a good time. So the biggest news story here of this week is that Bugatti has announced a V16 engine, and they completely caught us all off guard because, there's a lot of rumors that were saying it was going to be a V8, everything's downsizing and all that. And so, it made sense. They're going to say hybridized V8. That was what all the rumors were suggesting. And then they just out of nowhere surprised us with a V16, and they didn't confirm that it's naturally aspirated. But this thing is amazing. The rumors have suggested this isn't confirmed. All they've confirmed is V16 and hybrid, and and they also showed us a little audio teaser clip, which, again, I don't know how well this is going to work. I'm going to play it through my speaker audio. I have my mic right next to here. Again, this is very, very unpolished. I have to play this because I kid you not, when I heard this V16 motor in this little teaser the other day, my eyes actually welled up with emotion. Like it was that glorious. And I mean, maybe some of you that already follow the news and stuff have already heard this, but it's a 25-second clip. I'll skip. They do some like beauty shots before the actual sound, but you got to hear this 10-second sound clip because it is the best sounding thing I've heard from a car. It's arguably one of the best sounding motors I've ever heard. So let me see how this works. All right, it's coming up here in a second. It's basically encased in carbon fiber. That's all we get, but whew, it makes me giddy on this, even the second listen here. So that is the little teaser we get here. It's going to be a while. I think there's rumors. They didn't confirm when this is actually debuting, but they did confirm that, yeah, it's just, V16 hybrid. I think what we've heard is at Pebble Beach or sometime in the middle of this year, which means it's going to be Billionaire Row at Pebble Beach is where you're going to probably see this debut. It makes the most sense. And now the other rumors here that Motor One is reporting about this is that, and they're also rehashing previous reports. It's going to be built by Cosworth, supposedly, be an 8.3 liter V16 engine. Apparently, it supposedly revs to a screaming 9,000 RPM, they say, along with 3 electric motors to deliver a combined output of 1,800 horsepower, is what they are saying here. So, I mean, again, it's not like the good days are over. I mean, obviously, this is only for billionaires, but there is still some epic stuff. You would have never told me, if you would have told me that V16 was coming, I would have never believed you. This is incredible. And I mean, honestly, aside from the Cadillac V16 in like 1930, there's been other like concepts and stuff. And I believe there's been, a few maybe little obscure, one-off kind of cars with the V16, but no one has actually done any kind of, serious production, in almost 100 years, basically. And it sounds like they already have orders for the last versions of the Chiron here, I think those are called the Bully Day and the Mistral. Those are both still ordered up, I think, up until I think 2026, they said. So 2026 is probably when they'll actually start building these things. It's going to be a while before, I mean, it's not like we'll see very many on the roads unless you happen to live in a very wealthy area. But aside from that, I mean, they will be theoretically on the roads in some mythical manner here around 2026 is when that's going to start. But even if they're extremely rare and we maybe see one in our lifetime, it still is going to be amazing. A V16 engine. So I'm going to hop back into the comments here, see what you guys think about that. Hopefully that worked out okay for you. I see the hearts. Thanks guys. And I see Blank says surprised it's a V16 and not a W16. Yeah, and I think that's also it's just impressive that they are, they're throwing out the W16, but I think they've improved it. Again, we were all expecting downgrades. That's been the theme here of, everything. And it's an upgrade. It's amazing. And especially now it's, being led by Matej Rimac. I think I've always mispronounced his name, but, Rimac's doing it. And it shows that, he's also a real car guy that loves internal combustion stuff. He's not just about the electric thing. He said he's about just whatever's the coolest thing at the time. I think a V16 counts as that. So, anyone that was concerned about Rimac taking over Bugatti, that just silences all the worries there. Because Aiden said it sounds like a NASCAR. Yeah, it does actually. You're right. I didn't think about that, but it does sound similar to a NASCAR. Yeah, I see Car Guy says didn't know V16 existed. Yeah, it really hasn't in a long time. So, yeah, it's going to be impressive. So, anyway, that was the most exciting thing in my opinion this week. But moving on here, the next news story is McLaren has revealed the 2025 Artura Spider, which is gets, in addition to just losing the roof, which is a predictable thing. I mean, again, I apologize. There's no visuals here this week, so it's going to be just not ideal here. Maybe let me see if I can share my screen. It's just going to be normal. Let me see if this actually is going to work where you can just see all this stuff here that I'm let me see if I can pull this up so you guys can actually see what I'm looking at. You're not just staring at me the whole time. That might not be the most fun. Let me see. So I've never done this before, so again, I apologize. This is amateur hour here, but I think if I do this, maybe that will work. So I think, okay. So hopefully you guys can see that now. You can just see what I'm seeing. I'm just literally, this is what I do for the weekly update, a little behind the scenes. I just go on all my favorite car news websites and look up, what is up this week here. And that's it. So anyway, this is the McLaren Artura Spider. For this one, not only did they lose the roof, but they also gave it some extra horsepower. But if you happen to be an Artura owner that's disgruntled by the fact that you get extra power in the Spider, not to worry, because take your current Artura to the dealer and have them install these same upgrades here. So it's just basically a tune. It gives you 19 more horsepower from that 3-liter V6 motor, and they also tweaked the electric motor. So the motor itself goes from 577 horsepower to 596. Torque is still the same, 431 pound-feet, but combined output is now 690 horsepower, 531 pound-feet of torque for this. They also said they made the transmission shift faster now, and so it'll do a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. And the top is also pretty cool because they said it has standard carbon fiber panel, but you can also do the electrochromatic unit in the roof, which I think is actually the first time we might have seen that in a retractable hardtop there, to have that roof that can go from opaque to transparent, which is really cool to see them package it there in a convertible top. It seems like the battery is a little more efficient, they say, as well. But it seems like we're only going to get like 11 miles of range here with the US testing for it. So, but anyway, they'll be coming or ordering. It looks like it's open now. Deliveries are coming later this year, and it's starting at $273,800. So Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And hopping back over here to see any comments about this. All right, they say you can see the screen there. Glad that works out. And I guess there's a little picture in pictures. You can see me here too, so it's not just staring at a web page as well. But cool. So yeah, hopefully you guys are enjoying this so far. And let's move on to the next story here. So next up, we have the Maserati Grand Cabrio here that was just debuted. And so this is very predictable. It's another one where we already have seen the Gran Turismo. They just took the roof off. there's nothing really groundbreaking here, but it's still newsworthy and still worth covering. For now, it's just coming out in the Top Trofeo gas-powered version. And so for the gas-powered version here, it's using the V6 turbo motor. And they say actually the weight distribution, one thing, is actually slightly improved thanks to the retractable top here. So it now goes to 5149 front to rear versus 5248. So maybe it actually handle a little better, even though they're saying there's 220 extra pounds of weight here. And that does hurt the 0 to 60 time, they say, by 0.1 second. Again, minor stuff. It's still, super fast, 542 horsepower, 479 pound-feet of torque. And of course, they're going to add in the electric version and, the entry-level one eventually. But, they start with the most exciting one there. And so, yeah, I believe those are coming here. They didn't say when it's going to specifically hit dealers, but, again, we're seeing it now, so it's assumed that this should be available here relatively soon, some point this year. So anyway, yeah, cool to see that. And I'm going to hop in and see about any other comments here. They say the Gran Turismo is as old as the iPhone. It's time to go. Well, this is the new one. This is an all-new generation. They debuted the hardtop last year. So this is an actual improvement. It's a whole new platform. That's why it has the flexibility of having the electric version all on the same platform as this gas one, with the way Stellantis is doing all these flex kind of platforms. So it is an actual new car, thankfully. So that is cool. I mean, the unfortunate thing is you're losing the V8. That was news last year, but this is a new car. And so, yeah, cool to see that one. The other big thing here, Apple is officially, even though we just heard a couple of weeks ago that they were going to scale back their car program, and they were going to, there was talk that they were just going to basically just make an electric car. They were going to give up on the autonomous idea and all that, and just basically just put something out there just to get it out there. But now it just came out. There's an internal memo here this week that was reported by Bloomberg here that they're just canceling the whole program. And I mean, it's hard to make cars, even for a company like Apple. I mean, the profit margins are terrible compared to a normal, any kind of product is going to be, much higher profit margin for cell phones and stuff versus a car. It's a 10% profit margin if you're lucky, typically from the corporate side. So, I mean, it's not a lucrative thing. So I think, Apple just figured it was, more trouble than it was worth. And so all the people within the company, most of them will probably get reassigned. The car designers and stuff might have a tougher time finding another job within Apple there. But, pretty big deal there. So crazy to hear that we've been hearing about Apple cars for so long, and now we can finally put that to rest. It was a real thing. It was actually under development. And like many other Apple things, they gave it a try and then just decided to toss it in the bin and, we're focused on other stuff. But one other thing that we've been hearing about forever that hasn't come yet is the Tesla Roadster. And Elon Musk was tweeting some interesting stuff about it here this week, saying that we radically increased the design goals for the new Tesla Roadster, and there will never be another car like this, if you could even call it a car. And then he also went on in another tweet, I believe, to say, or another post on X, to say that it's going to have like a 1 second 0 to 60 time. And, as we've seen with Tesla and some of their claims, it's very far-fetched, and there is really no way to do a 1 second 0 to 60 time. The amount of G-forces that puts on your body, there's been a bunch of people doing back of the napkin math here after all of his statements. I think it's like 2.7 Gs it would put on your body to actually do that. And, I love performance, as I'm sure all of you do, but I'm not sure that giving someone with a regular license the opportunity to essentially have a real missile that's probably going to be at least 5,000 pounds that can go that fast, I don't think that should be public consumption, to be totally honest. That's race car stuff. You want to go to the drag strip and have, an alcohol powered motorcycle that can do 200 miles an hour in 5 seconds. That's fine, but I don't know if this should be road legal, if it actually will be that fast. But he's often overpromised and underdelivered. So we will see, what actually happens here, if it actually comes. He's claiming next year for the Roadster. He said originally 2020. Obviously 2020 did its thing, and then he said 2023, that's obviously came and went too. Now he's saying 2025, and I think they said that actually they're planning to have it completed and unveiled by the end of this year. So we will see. I'm always open to approach things with an open mind, give them the benefit of the doubt. I always want to see everyone do well, and and all that. So we will see, but I would not hold your breath for that, which is a shame though, because I think the deposits, I think it was like 50 grand to even have a deposit down for one. So it's a big chunk of money. I mean, obviously we're talking about very rich people that are ordering these, but still to just, hold people's 50 grand deposits hostage for 6 years or whatever and giving them very little. It's very interesting. So anyway, but that's the way Tesla rolls, and it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, I see Truck and Car Guy says, as I always say with Tesla, I'll believe it when I see it. Very well put. I agree. So yeah, and I see Blank saying has been writing on the wall for the past few years with Kia, the partnership that Apple was considering, and I see Car Guy's upset about the Apple car not coming. Yeah, I mean, it's always cool to see different companies' takes on stuff, and it would have been interesting to see how Apple would have approached that. And I still think if Apple wanted to get into the car business, they'd be better off just buying Lucid or somebody like that. I mean, because Apple has money, they clearly can't get a project off the ground, so buy a company that has got a project off the ground that needs money. I think it would be a perfect match, with Lucid or something like that. But maybe they're just not interested again because the margins it's a tough business, as we've seen with companies rising and falling, startups struggling to, gain traction and all that. So yeah, it is what it is with that. But yeah, they're not the first people to try and fail at a car, that's for sure. So anyway, moving on here to the next news story. So this one isn't, unfortunately, for us in America, but for those in Europe that are able to enjoy fun little city cars, the Renault 5 here, it's called the 5 E-Tech, just debuted, and it's very retro looking, and it looks just like the concept too, which is really cool. And so again, we don't have a ton of details on this yet, but again, I'm not going to go over this in great detail because this is something that for most of my viewers, the majority of us are here in North America. This isn't going to be something we'll ever see, but it is really cool. I mean, it's a very promising car. Renault, I believe, is, I mean, they have partnerships, with other American brands that could kind of, bring this over if they decided they really wanted to. But anyway, it's kind of going up against the 500, the new 500e that Fiat is doing. All this is 4-door, and that's a 2-door. But they're saying it's going to start. It's going on sale soon and start at a reasonable 25,000 euros, which is about $27,000 in today's exchange rate. So, I mean, these are the affordable electric cars that everyone's been wanting. I think this would actually do really well in America. If you actually price it at $27,000, I think a lot of people would go for that. I didn't even have a chance to see if I can scroll through the pictures here. I mean, it's pretty cool. That's a fun little interior. I love the cloth fabric in there. Oh yeah, I mean, that's a nice little car for 27 grand. I mean, this one's probably nicer equipped and expensive, but that's cool. And so it's slow. That's the only thing. The top version, they say, is gonna have 148 horsepower. It's front wheel drive. 121 horsepower is the mid grade one, and then 94 horsepower for the base one. At least it's electric horsepower, so it's a little bit better with that. But yeah, that's interesting. So they also are just saying it's got 249 miles of range, and 10.1 inch touchscreen there on the inside and stuff. So I mean, yeah, it seems pretty cool. I mean, honestly, I wish they'd give that a try here in the States. I think that actually has some potential. But yeah, let me see. Hop over in the comments here. Yeah, I see Car Guy says, I want Renault, Citroen, and Peugeot to come back to America, and Canada deserves it as well. I agree. That'd be great. And I see Austin says that'd be awesome with more power. And I believe Renault, at least there was a concept of a faster version, because they've had, I mean, the Renault 5, sorry for the dings going off. I guess I can mute this now that I don't have to play the Bugatti engine noise anymore. But, the Renault thing was great. I mean, they did a bunch of rally stuff, you know, and I think it was the 80s and the 90s, and had performance versions. And so I think they could do a faster version, and that especially I think would be a lot more exciting to do here in the States. But I also see Guardians quickly asking any update on the Alpha trucks. That's the one, the little small startup, since we're talking about the startups here. I haven't heard any updates on that. I believe TFL just did a video on that. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but if you want to hear info on it, I believe they just posted a video on TFL Truck, or one of their sub channels there, on the Alpha thing. So they might have some newer info. You can check that out there. They do great reporting over at TFL. Those guys are great. And I see that car guy is also saying Alfa Romeo is planning on a next gen EV Giulia. Yeah, we will see. I mean, with everyone kind of backtracking their EV plans, I don't know what Alfa Romeo, if they're going to stick to their, plan of everything new being electric here, for this next generation of vehicles or not. I see Shane says Alpha's still putting out investor requests on Facebook. Okay, well, I guess they need some money too. I feel like that's less of an Apple kind of brand, but it'd be great to see Apple just give everyone lifelines because they got the cash to burn. But yeah, I see Guardian is heading back to work here. Well, thanks for joining in, Guardian. And yeah, definitely check out that TFL video. And that car guy says, who here is excited for the new 2025 Dodge Charger getting revealed on Wednesday, March 5th? That is the rumor. I don't think it's been confirmed yet. But I am, I can't say anything about Charger for the future here, and until I can. So I gotta be cagey on that one. Unfortunately, I apologize. But moving on here, as he also Shane says hello from a fellow Pennsylvanian. Awesome to have another fellow Pennsylvanian in here as well. I see that Class X is the Renault 5 should be a hybrid. That'd be cool too. That would be very cool. And yeah, I think this is only EV. I don't think they're gonna plan to change anything with that because it's on this EV platform. So I think it's kind of stuck with the electric thing. But I agree, that'd be really cool, especially with hot hatches going away, which I'll get to towards the end of this weekly update here for those in Europe. Moving on to the next story here, though, Jeep. There's a bunch of stuff here with Jeep. First off, they have a new this new CEO who's been coming in. He's really trying to improve the market share because there hasn't been there's been a big decline in market share with Jeep. And I think they're running into some price resistance. And so basically one of the things they're doing here is they're cutting prices big time. So prices are dropping from $2,000 to $4,000 here on the Grand Cherokee. Gladiator's getting a few grand price cut. I think Wrangler as well, in addition to getting extra standard equipment to improve that value even more. Compass is getting $2,500 off, which made sense. This was starting at $30,000. I'm like, we're talking about a Jeep Compass here. Like, yes, it's been improved. It's got more power. It's nicer inside. It's still just a Compass. I know with inflation, it's tough to swallow for a starting price on a Compass. So, I'm glad to see there's some price cuts there. Again, not drastic, but, pretty good, and something you don't really see too often in the car industry these days, to have these, company-wide price cuts. They also, though, the one interesting twist is they're giving up on the Wagoneer sub-brand. Wagoneer stuff is still happening, but they're all going to be folded back under Jeep. They were trying to make Wagoneer its own thing. I think a lot of people kind of saw through that, and it's a debatable thing, honestly. So I think that they decided against that. And so actually, with the Wagoneer S that we just saw a teaser of recently, it actually had a Jeep badge on the back, which I actually didn't even notice or register that was a significant thing. But a lot of people were like, "Oh, like other Wagoneers don't have Jeep badges on it. This is a switch that we haven't seen before." So that's a big thing here. That they're just gonna not have Wagoneer as a standalone thing, and it makes sense. And happy to see that that's been brought back to sanity here. And hopping back in the comments, that car guy says, Dodge has revealed a teaser for the new Charger on their website. Okay, I didn't realize that had been confirmed. I have not been on the internet very much the past 2 days. So okay, well, if they have already said that it's coming on March 5th, then stay tuned. For March 5th, I will have more for you then. And that's all I can say for now. But Zachary says making Ram its own thing has totally failed from a branding standpoint. Yeah, I think there's less resistance there. I still do call it the Dodge Ram myself as well most of the time. But, I think there's at least, that seems to have at least worked. It's been a while that Ram's, been its own thing. And it seems like everyone's still, identifies it as a Dodge thing or whatever, but I think that has actually kind of worked. I don't know what the goal was there really, but I think it hasn't really hurt sales, I don't think, too much. But anyway, moving on here to I see V16 is a good move to put the Wagoneer or the Jeep back on the Wagoneer. Yeah, and about the name recognition, I agree. I think name recognition is really important. Jeep is a valuable brand. People want a Jeep. So yeah, not shying away from that. I think it makes sense to just embrace, hey, this is a Jeep, but it can be a really nice Jeep. It doesn't have to be a negative thing or whatever, Jeep might have thought about Wagoneer. I think it's totally fine to have it under the Jeep brand there. But moving on here, Subaru has had some interesting stuff. So this is Auto Guide just discovered 12 new trademarks that Subaru filed here this week. And again, this is just trademarks. It doesn't mean the stuff that's definitely going to happen. And I apologize. All these websites have a million banner ads. So sorry getting spammed here. I don't use an ad blocker or anything because I make all of my living off of ads. So I have to support the industry, even though it's cringy with all these stupid banner ads and stuff. But anyway, so Subaru here has a total of 12 trademarks here that they have filed. Again, doesn't mean they're going to use them, just means they could be squatting on them just to reserve them and you make sure no one else uses them, because a lot of these are good names. Some of them are not great. We'll go through them here, but one of them is called Uncharted. I think Uncharted, whether it's a trim package or some kind of wilderness offshoot or something like that, Uncharted seems cool. I mean, maybe the video game company will have something to say about that, the Uncharted video game. But outside of that, there's some other ones here. Again, it's hit or miss. Other outlets have really said some of these are horrible. Some of them are good. So the other ones here are Trail Seeker, Viewfinder, Trail Wind, Trailhead, Outsider, High Trail, Getaway, High Road. I think they misspelled that one there in the article here. Everpass, Everguide, and Accomplice. Accomplice sounds like not good. I mean, that one and Getaway also. I mean, Getaway is a little more innocent sounding, but Accomplice doesn't sound good. So I don't know how they could spin that one as being a positive a name to use here. And Getaway, you don't want to say I have the Getaway car. I mean, it's fun to say, but especially for Subaru buyers, I don't know if that's a good one here. So again, maybe they just want to use it for something else. Who knows? But I think Trail Seeker, Viewfinder, those kinds of things. I mean, Outsider is also another weird one. I get the idea of like, hey, we're outdoors and all that, but I think Outsider, like, no one wants to feel like an outsider because that has other connotations. So some of these, probably never see the light of day if Subaru has some sense here. But the other ones, Everpass, Everguide, those types of things I could see. I mean, they got a lot of names here. I mean, the other thing though that no one else has really brought this up, and whenever I heard this news story originally, I kind of I brought up I just thought of this idea that what it could also be is that they are maybe reserving all these names for their future electric lineup, because Subaru has said that they are going to have, again, I'm working off the top of my head here, so I'm probably going to misquote stuff and get everything wrong, but I believe they said 6 EVs by 2026. It's something around there. And then I thought they said like another 6 by 2030. And the consensus when I reported about this a little while ago was that basically the entire Subaru lineup, it'll either double or everything will be electric or have an electric variant of everything that's currently available in the lineup outside of like the BRZ. So, with all these new names, especially this many names, it could be that this is the future electric lineup. Obviously, they're not going to, well, maybe they'll have 12 different ones, or maybe, again, this is give or take, and these are just some of them, but these could be the new electric Subaru lineup hiding in plain sight as far as the naming structures, and maybe these will all be what we'll get to, also sell either alongside. I don't think they'd throw out all their existing names because there's too much equity there. But if these are additions to the lineup, you have, a Trail Seeker is a Outback size thing or something. You have, a High Trail, which is maybe like the Ascent. Maybe there's some parity with, the mentality there and the hierarchy. Maybe there's some of that. Trent Car Guy says Accomplice sounds right up Dodge's alley. You're right about that one. Absolutely. Yeah, that is more of a Dodge thing I could see for sure than a Subaru thing. And Zachary says seems like a few names for Crosstrek trims. Yeah, that could be it as well. And Tu Chang, thank you so much for a super chat here. He says, hey guys, in case Matt hasn't made the plug yet, just be sure to join in on the weekly basement show Sundays with the karate chop guy, Kyle, and the rest of the crew. No SuperDorks fan jokes tonight. I appreciate the support too. And yeah, we also have a good time too. Always keeps us laughing with his funny humor there in the live streams. And again, we will be doing a usual Sunday live stream here with Q&A. This is again just trying to do the weekly update here in a somewhat orderly fashion here, the best we can this week. So anyway, well, thanks for joining in too. And I see someone else also saying, just give us the next STI. And hopefully, there was, what they say, 2028 potentially for like an electric STI is, the idea. Obviously, that's not one of the names here, but I think that is also in the cards still. Again, assuming that everyone's EV plans are not changing, which is probably not something we can assume anymore, given the current, announcements we've seen from other companies. So, all bets are off in my mind. But if Subaru still is planning on doing this huge revamp and having an electric STI and all this stuff, hopefully that'll come as well. But yeah, I think everyone's getting a kick out of the accomplice name. So yeah, I don't know why Subaru thought that was one worth trademarking themselves, but maybe they're hoping Dodge will give them a big payday with that one and buy that one off of them. Anyway, so there's that. Moving on here. This is a fun one. The Volkswagen Shocco, the rumor that's going to come back as an EV and supposedly be a twin of the Boxster EV. So the consensus here is, this is something Autocar was reporting originally. So I'm reading a regurgitation here on Autoblog of the consensus here, but pretty much Autocar says they have a high-ranking insider within Volkswagen Group that's saying that the business planners are considering a new Scirocco as a battery electric thing, and it would be sharing the same platform as the Boxster and Cayman. And with those, they're having this like T-style pack, T-shaped pack for the battery to give it a mid-engine feel with the weight distribution. And I think we should be seeing, there were some spy shots recently of a Boxster. And so I think we should be seeing, that production EV Boxster relatively soon here. And so this, just saying to spread the costs out, they'll get a Scirocco. There'll also be a new electric TT based on this, and also a Seat Cupra as well, doing all these things. But yeah, so that's something that they'd say it's going to be less power than the Boxster. I believe this is saying 300 horsepower in the base one. There'd be an all-wheel drive one of 400 horsepower, and the base one would be rear-wheel drive. So it'd be same thing you're seeing like with the new Volkswagens and all that, which would be really cool. So and they're saying, I believe this is not coming until 2028, even if it does get the green light, according to this report. So it's a little bit of a long ways off here, but that'd be really cool. I'm still bitter that they're refusing to do if you're going to go with all these retro names, you're not going to go for a fresh new thing. I just feel like an electric Beetle is like the real like softball underhanded pitch, like knock it out of the park easily. I know they've had struggles with Beetle in the past, but Beetle's been successful too. So anyway, I'm just sentimental about Beetles, so I'll leave that one there. But anyway, Scirocco would be great to see too. I'd be very happy to see that come back as an EV. And so interesting to see that one. Hop over into the comments here before I move on to the next one. That car race says, wish the Scirocco could come to America. And maybe it could. We will see, with some of these EVs, there's less of a barrier to entry because you don't have to legalize the powertrain of, emissions testing. All that can be very expensive. So I think that's going to be easier in the future for more cars to come over as an EV, and so hopefully we will see some of that. But it's just, there's a lot of other things obviously that keep a lot of cars out of the States, so we'll see about it. But maybe there's a chance something like that could come. Yeah, the Trend Car Guys' live stream isn't the same without Two's jokes. I agree. And yeah, thanks for joining in there too. And anyway, moving on here to the next story. So look at this crazy thing. This is the Pinina Enigma GT, which was debuted at the Geneva Motor Show, which I believe isn't happening in Geneva, but instead in, I believe, Saudi Arabia or something. I was out of the loop here this week about the Geneva Motor Show, but I don't think it's like the usual show they used to have. But anyway, so this thing, it looks wild. We can go flip through some of the pictures here just to see. I don't want to click the Adidas ad. No, thank you. Man, these ads. All right, so let me try this again. And sorry for the amateur hour. Let me see. Is there any way? There's a little arrow. All right, so I mean, it looks really sweet. And yeah, it's very futuristic, very wild looking. And so yeah, the thing here that they're saying is gonna be hydrogen combustion with a V6, and this is another, this is never going to happen. I don't know why they're honestly doing this. I mean, it's a fun idea, and I think Toyota's experimenting with hydrogen internal combustion. Maybe someday a long ways off, this could be something that would make sense. And I will get more into hydrogen towards the end of this weekly update here. There's going to be some more. But anyway, this is a 2.5 liter turbo V6 behind the passengers here. Under 4 seconds there to 60. Again, I'll just vaporware because I don't think this is ever going to be a reality. So I'm not going to get into the details here of this. It looks cool, and maybe it can show in the future maybe what they'll do with an electric Pininfarina 4-door things. They want to expand that lineup because they have the Batista now, and they're going to do more things. So this might just be a cool way to disguise what is going to just be an EV as the most likely leap. And I don't think we can count on this giant forward sliding canopy thing. Well, it's super cool. I mean, I love concept cars. I don't want to dismiss it, but it's very far-fetched, so don't get too excited about that. Now, one thing that is less far-fetched here is Infiniti has been teasing the QX80, and I don't have the images up here for this one. I apologize, but basically it's just been a bunch of close-up little shots. We're going to see the full thing on March 20th, so just in a few weeks here, we'll see the full QX80. It's going to most likely look pretty close to the concept, though, based on what we've seen with the little teaser images. So we'll stay tuned for that here, and I'm covering that in full detail here in a few weeks. But getting back to the hydrogen thing here, Honda has revealed the 2025 CR-V E fuel cell hybrid. And I might do a little mini soapbox rant here on this one, because this is just like a complete waste of time, in my opinion. So this, I commend them for continuing to try the hydrogen thing. It's a noble effort. It seems like it's just a dead end. So this is going to be actually coming to California. I believe it also may be coming to Japan as well. I'm not totally sure, because Japan is, a little more conducive to the hydrogen thing than we are here, even in California. But so the CR-V, I mean, you can see also this could be a preview of like a refresh for the CR-V too, because you see the new headlights, the taillights in the back are clear. And I think what this really could, if they're smart, this would just be a preview of a plug-in hybrid gas CR-V, which I think would be a great idea. But this is only hydrogen. Now it's a plug-in hybrid, so you still have electric range. I believe there's 29 miles of electric range here. It's a 17.7 kilowatt hour battery pack. And so, I mean, that's good. And that certainly helps with the hydrogen thing, which is a big problem, even in California. I'll get to, Shell just announced a bunch of closures this week, and hydrogen is just a mess, even in California. And again, just does not seem like it's got a promising near-term future. But again, Honda and others are still trying this. So this powertrain was developed jointly with General Motors. So they're still, working. General Motors also believes in this hydrogen stuff. And so the storage tanks, let me see if I can quickly, I don't know if I can quickly pull this up. I'm going to see if I can show this, because it is, so this is a CR-V. A CR-V is supposed to be practical. It's an SUV. People buy an SUV because they want practicality. And let me see if they actually showed it, or if I maybe have seen it somewhere else. So interior looks pretty normal, and then hopefully we get so this is the trunk shot. That's what you have to deal with in a hydrogen CR-V. You have this giant platform, and basically, as far as the flat load floor, you have about as much space as like a 3-row crossover with the third row up is what you have behind the hydrogen tank there, and then a shelf. Just not ideal. So I commend their effort here, and again, I hope, but it's just like, they should be having a gas plug-in hybrid right now. Like, if you want to be competitive, where was their RAV4 Prime competitor years ago? I mean, the RAV4 Prime's been out for what, 3-4 years now? And Honda doesn't have an answer for it. And, you have Hyundai and Kia doing their plug-in hybrid crossovers that everyone really likes. I mean, there's still long wait lists for RAV4 Primes and stuff. And Honda has this great plug-in hybrid thing. They have it all set up. They got the, charge door carved out in the front fender of the CR-V. They went to all this trouble to sell, 5 of them in California. And, it's got 270 miles of range. It's not even a huge hydrogen tank, 270 worse than a regular EV. Obviously, you have the 29 miles of electric range here as well, but it's also slow. It's 174 horsepower, 229 pound-feet of torque, only front-wheel drive, by the way. And it's just, I could see hydrogen again for commercial uses and industrial uses, but just for cars, it's just, why invest all this time and money into this when this could have been a CR-V Prime, obviously with their own thing. But, it just seems like I don't know. It just seems like a real head scratcher to be putting all this money into this and then not having the actual thing people want to buy today and badly want to buy. So, and yeah, they're only available in California. You won't even be able to buy it. You can only lease it, and yeah, only in California. And I'm sure, again, there's going to be about, especially with the hydrogen situation right now, there's going to be about 5 people that probably want that. So we will see if Honda, the only way Honda can really make this look okay is if they come out with a gas one like tomorrow and say, there's also a gas one. We're not crazy. And then it's like, great. And I would welcome a plug-in hybrid CRV with open arms. Like, that'd be a fantastic idea. Same battery pack. Just they have it all the pieces are right there. So if they don't immediately port this over to the CRV and everything else in the lineup, like, that's a no-brainer to me. Again, I'm not going to pretend to be a know-it-all product planner here, but just like, you did all this R&D work on an awesome plug-in hybrid powertrain, scrap the hydrogen thing that has no immediate future, and go for the just the gas thing. And it just seems like the obvious thing. And I'll hop over to the comments here. I'm sure there's some thoughts on that as well. Let's see. Okay, Brian saying the pics don't show up. It just says click to exit full screen. Sorry. Okay, so I guess that hasn't worked well. So I apologize. When you go to full screen, the pics don't show up. I apologize, guys. Yeah, and for some reason with Autoblog now they've switched it so you can't flip through the pictures unless you go to that full screen view. Yeah, he says I think it's opening a new window that isn't shared. Okay, sorry, I'm learning as I go here as well. So sorry, this is again amateur hour here for this first attempt here. But yeah, so then all of the things I was saying were irrelevant about you can't see the cargo space. But envision a body size, large, like casket size thing in the back of a CRV. that's what you have blocking most of your cargo space there. So yeah, it's just, anyway, I think I've said everything I need to say about that one. But so yes, plug-in hydrogen CRV is what Honda is developing or dedicating millions of engineering dollars for, instead of the obvious things people want today. So there you have it. And again, moving on, there's a couple other hydrogen stories here. So Toyota is really having a hard time selling Mirais right now because of the hydrogen situation, which again I will expand on here in a minute. But no one's actually seriously considering this, but this just illustrates how bad the hydrogen situation has gotten. If you want a Toyota Mirai, they're giving you basically 40 grand off because there's 15 grand in free hydrogen they're giving you over 6 years, which is actually like, that might sound like, wait, like how do you need that much hydrogen? But hydrogen has gone up dramatically in price. It used to be like $55, I think they said, for a fill-up, and now it's like $200 for a fill-up, assuming you can get a fill-up, which is also tough because of what I'm going to mention here in a minute. But which is also like, who's going to want to pay $200 for a fill-up? Again, even if you get free hydrogen, eventually it's not going to be free forever. Hopefully those costs will come down, but it's like going the wrong way. It was comparable to gas before, and now it is quadruple the price. Like, great way to kill interest there. And anyway, but yeah, so it's they're offering 0% financing on these things, and basically it comes down to, according to Autoblog here, at least they're paying people basically $3 grand to take the car off of Toyota's hands by just literally actually giving away Mirais essentially whenever you account for all the savings, because it's only a California thing, and it's so limited. There's no way to get out of the state basically with the limited hydrogen infrastructure, which, by the way, I believe. So moving on to the last story here this week, actually they use the same picture on Autoblog, but Hydrogen Insight has reported here that Shell has just canceled and closed their hydrogen refilling stations for consumers. They have still a few commercial things that I don't believe are open to regular vehicles. But this takes the total number of hydrogen stations, even in California, down to 54 stations in the entire state of California, mostly, again, focused in San Francisco and LA. And out of those, Autolog says that the one website showing that only 33 of them are actually functional. There's been a bunch of issues with fueling with hydrogen. The pumps are going down because it's very extreme, mechanical stuff with just the pressures involved and, keeping it cold and all that stuff. It's apparently very hard to do. So you think electric infrastructure is bad with, was it 30,000 fast chargers out there currently? People complain about that. Try 54 in your state. And again, only 33 of those working. And this is why if people don't like 30,000 EV chargers with more coming online every day, like hydrogen at 33, we are, it's microscopic chance that hydrogen wins out or does anything of note in the next couple of decades. I think, again, unless there's some giant shift of all the EV money over to hydrogen or something. But even then, again, you got tanks that are the size of bathtubs in the back of cars. It's just, there's a long way to go for hydrogen before it ever is going to be viable. And that's why it really boggles my mind to see companies continue to invest money with giving away Mirais, prices of hydrogen going up. You see less and less stations. It's going the exact wrong way. Supposedly there is new investment in hydrogen coming, but even, I mean, like Shell, I believe they said here in the article, they were offered by the state of California a ton of money. I can't remember. It was a grant of $40 million basically. And even getting $40 million from the California government wasn't enough to put up the extra 48 stations they had originally planned for California. So, I mean, that's how bad it is that you're turning down $40 million to put up 48 new hydrogen stations. So, don't think hydrogen is going anywhere anytime soon. I know there's been a lot of people that think hydrogen is the answer. Maybe in the far off future. I'm not discounting it. I think it's a good idea in theory, but I think we are a long way away from that happening. EV is absolutely, if we're talking about what's the most viable thing, a lot of people still doubt EVs. Like, at least we got 30,000 chargers, a ton of investment, and a lot of really good advancements. And hydrogen is just not it right now, unfortunately. Let me see. So hopping back into the comments here, Trunk Car Guys, at least the Mirai is not hideous. Yeah, I think the Mirai is actually a pretty cool car. I've never driven one, but I mean, I've nothing against the Mirai. Just a shame that it's again got a powertrain that's nearly impossible to refill. And Shane says, yeah, plug-in hybrids is definitely the way to go. Coming from an EV owner, yeah, I think for most Americans, that's going to be the most comfortable thing, to get people transition to that electric commute, and then having that gas backup, for everyone's hypothetical cross-country trips or the middle of the country that needs to drive an hour to get to a Walmart or whatever, that'll definitely be the way to go to make it better for Americans there. I see Brian also says, speaking of alternative fuels, I recall Porsche was investing in synthetic fuels. Not quite sure what that is all about. Synthetic, so I mean, I could go on. I don't want to go on too long here about that, but basically synthetic, the problem with that, even Porsche themselves says that is not going to ever replace EVs. They're going to scale it up. They're going to make it more common. The pricing will come down. They're putting up, new factories that are doing that. And there is some advancement there, but the goal of synthetic is simply to keep, the current existing gas cars on the road. They're really worried about those vintage 911 owners and stuff. That's why Porsche is doing it, so that those people don't have to convert to an EV. If we get to a point in time where gas is sparse, it would obviously be harder to get hydrogen or get, the synthetic fuels, but it's something that it would at least allow you to keep your vehicle fueled if we're in some hypothetical gasless future, which I still think is also very far ways away. But this is kind of preparing for that. I think is really the thing with the synthetic fuels. They're going to use it for racing to make racing greener. So they're not, using regular fuel for that. I think F1 is already on synthetic fuels, if I remember correctly, or one of the motorsport series is. But so there's those types of things that's going on for the synthetic thing. But even Porsche themselves, who are the people putting money behind it, they're like, they've said point blank, this is not going to be a workaround to keep gas around forever. This is just to keep the existing stuff working in a greener manner, if gas is somehow tough. So anyway, Raphael, thanks for joining in. This caught me off guard. Yeah, just trying out something new here due to the non-ideal circumstances this week with the way my week has gone. I wasn't able to do a polished, nice weekly update. So anyway, I see that car guy says, I don't understand why all fuel cell vehicles have to be sold only in California. That's because there's I mean, I think New York has a couple of hydrogen pumps, and I think maybe Ohio, because again, like that CRV was developed in Ohio. There are less than 100 hydrogen stations in the entirety of the United States. So it's just, the problem is no one else would be able to refuel their vehicle if you sold it elsewhere. So that's the problem. They just know that California is the only state that actually has remotely close to enough stations to keep people going outside of people that work, again, at maybe Honda's plant in Ohio, like that never leave Ohio, those people will be fine. But that's about it. So that's I think the biggest problem there. And Bush Cream says, hello Matt, this is my favorite YouTube channel. Thank you, I really appreciate that. He says, do you sell Matt Moran merchandise? I do. There should be a little shelf of merch here in the underneath every video. It might not be showing up, but you can also, there's a link on my channel page and all that. I just have a Teespring, or I guess they call it Spring now, Spring store with merch there if you'd like to support the channel. I appreciate that. But anyway, so that's the last news story here is one that I would probably normally pour out a drink for, but I don't have the drink here, and I'm exhausted I've been driving since 5:30 this morning, so I'm not up for a drink tonight. But Hyundai has killed all the N gas performance vehicles in Europe. This is Motor One reporting this, but I believe this is pretty official stuff here. It was a statement made to Motor One Deutschland. The company's German division confirmed that all N models in Europe are getting killed off. So this is the I30 N and I20 N and the I30 N Fastback are the ones here. So that's interesting that they never got the new stuff. They never got the Elantra, and I don't think they even got the Veloster over there. So they said there's a few remaining in stock, but they're pretty much, I think they said, it's ending in the first half. Production will end in the first half of 2024 here. So it's really a sad time for European enthusiasts, especially those that love hot hatches, because I think Motor One even pointed out here, a bunch of stuff has dropped off. Fiesta ST, the Up GTI has gone away. All kinds of other, stuff, the Peugeot and Opel, back in the day, they're all dropping like flies. So it's just it's getting really hard to find a hot hatch in Europe here. And so it's really sad to see Hyundai. Now, the good news is, Hyundai has committed to doing stuff here in the States still. There's even talk of like a next generation Elantra N and stuff like that. So there are some of those. And I'm just going to go back to here and close out the other window because that's all the news here, though. And so, yeah, hopefully there will be more fun stuff in Europe down the road from other companies. But it sounds like Hyundai is getting out of the hot hatch business, which is really a shame. And I mean, to me is also a sign of things to come for other markets for Hyundai as well. We're seeing obviously Ioniq 5 N is, leading the future of what is going to eventually be the N brand. Thankfully, we still have a Elantra N, and it sounds like we'll get another Elantra N. I think Albert Bierman confirmed, he ensured that there's going to be a new Elantra N. Now, whether he's talking about the refresh version that we're seeing starting to show up here soon, or if he's talking about an actual brand new next generation remains to be seen. But it sounds like, at least we got our Elantra N for a few more years. I wouldn't bet on anything beyond that as far as gas-powered stuff. Sounds like Kona N is probably not coming back. So it's just, again, they're going to the EV thing. Maybe that will change. Everyone else, again, backpedaling on all their EV plans. Maybe this will give Bierman and others a stronger case to say, hey, let's, get this gas engine and some other stuff still while we can. We will see. But anyway, so yeah, in an attempt to keep this weekly update relatively, I'm already at 53 minutes, but to keep this relatively short, so these people that click onto this, don't have to watch a super long video in the next few days here. I'm gonna keep this short, but again, stay tuned for my new normal Q&A live stream here on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll hang out, answer all your questions, talk cars again. Sorry if I missed any comments, but I feel like I did a fun little job here doing a little bit of back and forth and interacting here with the weekly update. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this as well. Again, apologies it wasn't as polished as we would have liked, but hopefully we'll have another nice polished video here next week. I may also have to do another kind of impromptu live stream weekly update in a few weeks, just again based on scheduling stuff getting a little crazy later on here in the month of March. So but next week we'll be back to normal for a normal weekly update. Apologies, this one was kind of late for those of you that like watching with your dinner here on the East Coast and stuff, but hopefully you all enjoyed this little weekly update still nonetheless, even though it wasn't ideal. But thank you all very much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below how you like these. And I'll see you guys on Sunday night here for the actual normal Q&A live stream. And until then, have a great weekend. Take care.